If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. We welcome you to today's show and ask those of you who have not subscribed to please subscribe to our YouTube channel as we continue to expose the satanic Illuminati agenda and the ushering in of the Antichrist. We all already know that they poison us with these chemtrails. We look at the food labels on anything you buy at the store. You can see how they poison us with the chemicals that they throw in to all of these foods and all of this stuff. And we all know that they've put fluoride in our water, but we're told that it's good for our teeth because our dentist tells us it's good for our teeth, as they lie and lie and lie. Now reports are coming out that deadly toxic chemicals are found in the drinking water for at least 6 million Americans. Toxins used to stain proof furniture and fight fire is in public water supply. I repeat, toxins used to stain proof furniture and fight fire is in public water supply. We've already seen what they've done in Flint, Michigan with the water situation. I constantly talk about biological warfare. I talk about the silent war, how they do these things to us. We don't even know we're under attack. Our flesh is under attack. Our spirits are under attack. This is spiritual warfare. But they're constantly dumping chemicals on us and doing all this stuff. They're saying that California is the worst affected, also New York, Florida, Georgia, and others. At least 6 million people are affected, possibly more. The article says more than 6 million people in the U.S. drink and use water that is contaminated with deadly toxins. A new study reveals life-threatening concentrations of a carcinogenic man-made chemical normally used to fight fire, insulate pipes, and stain-proof furniture have been found in public water tanks across America. The most at-risk states in order: California, New Jersey, North Carolina, Alabama, Florida, Pennsylvania, Ohio, New York, Georgia, Minnesota, Arizona, Massachusetts, and Illinois. The Harvard University study published on Tuesday warns the figures are likely woeful underestimates, since government data does not account for a third of the country and therefore emits around 100 people. I mean, what more, what needs to happen for people to get riled up here at this point? I mean, all this stuff, we saw it in Flint, Michigan, and nobody seemed to care that much, except for the poor victims in Flint, Michigan, who had to suffer through that stuff, and the lead poisoning that those people had to endure because they poisoned the water with lead. I mean, it's going on all around us, and people don't seem to care. People don't seem to be in an uproar. You know, millions of Americans are drinking the water with unsafe levels of industrial chemicals. Chemicals known as PFASs have been linked to high cholesterol, obesity, hormone suppression, and cancer. Introduced more than 60 years ago, PFAs are a category of man-made chemicals that degrade very slowly, if at all, in the environment. This is what they're doing to us. And they're getting away with it. One, because people aren't knowledgeable. Two, because people aren't seeing instant effects most of the time. They're not drinking the water and then falling on the floor choking, so they don't seem to care. But then when they get cancer in 30 years and and they're 50 years old and they're saying, well, I'm not going to see my grandchildren live. I'm not going to, I have had such a short life. Where did it all go? I was working the whole time. Oh, I guess I just coincidentally got cancer because everybody gets cancer. And nobody links these things. Nobody links the chemicals in our food. Okay, and the chemtrails and the aluminum they dump on us and all these things that they do to us. Nobody links it to cancer. Then when they get it, they just go, oh, poor me, and they die. They don't fight back. People don't go, we've had enough of this. Stop poisoning our food. Stop poisoning our water. Stop poisoning our air. This article goes on to say that this study shows that 16.5 million Americans have one of 6 types of PFAs in their drinking water at levels at or above the maximum EPA limit. Overall, the highest levels were in watersheds near industrial sites, military bases, and wastewater treatment plants. The maximum limit. Nobody should be... Water is water. It should be natural. We all need and depend on water to live. So why else do you think they poison water? Well, of course. And you see stories come out where people try to collect rainwater and then clean it and, boil it or whatever. They catch it in these big tanks and they try to live that way. And we see the government regulating that because they don't want people having healthy water. They want everybody getting the same doses of poison. It's absolutely unbelievable, folks. The article goes on to say that this new study suggests a similar crisis could be much more widespread. And this crisis, which is still going on in Flint, and you don't see, you don't hear about it because this is what they don't want people to fight up against it. We heard a little bit about it when it happened, but they're more interested in talking about who's going to go to the bathroom and what toilet, in the men's or women's room, who's got the right to choose what gender they want to be. But they're not talking about how they're poisoning all these people in Flint. They're not talking about, this story, which is out there. It's not going to be a mainstream thing where people go, why are 6 million Americans, drinking toxic water? Why is this going on? And who's going to stop it? Instead, they rather see, Donald Trump say that he's going to, hint at shooting Hillary Clinton and Hillary Clinton's emails getting leaked and everybody buying into the charade and the staged political scene that goes on. And what's really going on here is this silent war that no one seems to care about. And I'm telling you, it's because people don't see the instant effects of it. If they saw the instant effects, if something happened right when they drank it or right when they ate it, then people would be in uproar. Then people would care. But they're going, oh, it's a conspiracy theory. I'm too busy to worry about. I'm too busy to care. And more people are getting cancer. More and more people are suffering from obesity, getting diabetes, high cholesterol. Look at all these things linked to water. Who would think that, right? Who would think if you eat clean and you eat healthy, even if you eat raw, but you still drink out of your faucet, you could be a victim of high cholesterol because of the water that you're drinking. That's how ridiculous our world is getting, especially here in the United States of America. It's probably more ridiculous here than anywhere else, as we continue to see this stuff go on, but we see the dumbed down society that we have where people just don't care. They're just on their phone. Like I said, they're playing Pokemon Go and they're walking off cliffs. They're walking into buildings on their phone 24/7. And you would think that people might speak up and say, why is this going on? Let's start from square one. Why is this in our water? And somebody might say, well, because it's located near, an industrial place and, they got chemicals. Shouldn't that be illegal? You throw people for not paying their taxes in jail for 10 years. Should these companies, if they're polluting our water, shouldn't they be arrested and thrown in jail for many years because they're causing many people to get cancer? Oh, but they don't. Of course they want that. The elitists want that. So they don't want to make that a story. They don't want to get people riled up that way because all they have to do is make that the main story on the news and then everybody would get behind it because that's how the mind control works, right? Instead of leading the news about Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton and this charade that's going on, they could lead in with this and they could say, did you know that you're all being poisoned by the water? And people would say, wait, what? We're being poisoned by water, and we're all going to fight back against it. We're going to make, that should be the main issue when Donald Trump speaks tonight, or Hillary Clinton, or these are the things that we need to fix. Nope. It just silently gets brushed under the rug. People just keep drinking the water, keep getting sicker. And unfortunately, I know people are going to say, well, what are we supposed to do about it? Well, I don't have an answer for you on what to do about it. I know that I filter my water a certain way. There's a lot of people out there that, actually go out and get water from streams and they boil the water. There's people, like I said, who catch water, but it's almost impossible to live like that. If you have to leave your house, then what do you have to put it in a glass bottle and take it with you? I mean, it's so ridiculous that you would, that we even have to think about stuff like this, that we have to even be concerned about. It shouldn't be happening. And people should be upset with it. People should be fighting back. People should be going to these political rallies with signs and screaming at the top of their lungs. People should be demanding that this problem gets fixed. We're talking about chemicals that are used to fight fire. We're drinking that. Drinking stained chemicals used for stain-proofing furniture and fighting fires is in our water supply. Hello, everyone. Anybody concerned about this? To fight fire and to stain-proof. Have you ever smelt furniture stain, the proof stainer? Does anyone have a bottle of it in their house? Take a whiff of it. How toxic and disgusting it smells. Just think about that in our water, going into our bodies. Not at a rate where we would just drink it and die, at a rate where we would just continue to slowly get sicker and sicker. And this is the world that we live in, folks. 6 million people. And think about look at the map here. It shows you the areas that they've detected this in. And, it's almost in every single state for the most part. You don't see it up in the northwest. You don't see it in Montana and Idaho in those areas. Probably because they're not very populated. So why would they go out of their way to do that? You see it in New York and New Jersey and California, very populated places. You see it in Florida. I mean, unbelievable. Well, where are people, to care and to fight back? I mean, that's what bothers me the most. There's so much nonsense going on. There's so many things we could talk about with the Satanism, which is just so ridiculously over the top that people don't seem to care about that. The poisoning and the attacking of our children with Satanism, indoctrinating them with witchcraft. But where are other people to talk about this stuff, about the constant poisoning of our bodies, the constant attacks that we're all under? They just go, oh, people have depression. They need to take medicine for their depression. Well, why do you think people have depression? Because they're eating chemicals all the time that are making them depressed. They cause all of this stuff. Then they get you to go to the doctors and get a prescription so they can continue to poison you because the prescription isn't curing you. It's just making you temporarily feel better and then wearing off, and it's having other bad effects on your body because it's not natural and you shouldn't be taking it. And it just is a recurring cycle. Go to the doctor, get the medicine, never be cured. Don't really get to the root of the problem, which is, why hundreds of years ago, if we've come so far, we've come so far with science and the medical the medical industry and the pharmaceuticals. You hear people talk like that, and it's laughable. It's like people weren't getting this type of illness. Yes, there were things back then, of course, that, didn't have cures. There were certain diseases, and people did die from things like scarlet fever and all that kind of stuff. No, people weren't going through depression, in the 1300s. They weren't like, I don't want to leave my house. I'm depressed. I need a Xanax. I need a Zoloft. I need some kind of a pill. I can't even face the world. And then they look in the mirror. They're like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Well, what's wrong with you is that you are under attack. Your body is under chemical attack. And they're using the one source that we all have to have. We cannot live without water. It's not like they're just attacking Cheerios or Milky Way bars. They're attacking water, the one thing that we need to survive, okay? The main thing that we need, that we can't go days without. We need water. And they're attacking that. And people still aren't going, this is ridiculous. It's still allowing it to go on. It's unbelievable. So I don't have an answer if you're asking me what to do as far as, I mean, there's obviously things you could do research on it. I use a filter. I have various filters that I use, but, how far can I trust those? I don't know. I used to boil water, but sometimes that stuff becomes time consuming to boil the water and then let it cool. And then, but I mean, this is a different world now. Back in the day where people had time to actually do stuff like that, and everybody's running around to pay their bills. There's so much going on. Everybody's on the go 24/7. But people need to be aware of stuff like this. So share this video. Let people know. Share these articles. I'll attach the links. These are articles. It's on the Daily Mail. It's on CNN. Yes, I know that they produce propaganda, but this isn't something that should surprise anyone. This isn't something where you should say, oh, CNN's making it up. We already know that they poison our water with fluoride. I've done videos on it talking about how dumbed down they've made us, how Hitler used to use fluoride in the water. Okay, fluoride is the way to dumb people down, to make people very, docile, very calm, very suppressed. And that's what they do. They put all this stuff in our food and our water, and we continue to get sick. We don't ask questions. We don't fight back, and they continue to beat us through this silent war that's going on. They continue to slowly just kill us all off. It's unbelievable. I thank everybody for listening to today's show. Prayers are with everybody out there. God bless you all. May peace be with you and your families.
We're just shooting the breeze here. We missed all the good ones.
Yeah, I'm thinking about touching my penis. Man, I didn't know you were that fucking gay. He's dying over here.
I'm like dying of laughter.
I wasn't expecting that.
I don't want you touching my penis.
Fuck that shit.
You said,
hell no.
So you said that you weren't touching me. And I said, no, I'll touch you. And I was trying to say it makes it less gay for you. Oh, hell no. Damn. Oh man!
Die over there.
So let's just keep recording here. This one's definitely, probably.
He's definitely on something.
Gonna be. I laughed this part so freaking long. Oh my gosh! Like legit.
Don't die over there on us.
I'll try. Okay, so give me some ideas for next.
Crazy.
It really has been 15. Last time I remember.
14 months old you were when your mom took you.
Yeah, but I was here like once. I've been here before.
Yeah, I know.
Like 2007.
No, I came and got you as much as I could, but she wouldn't help me.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, I was here in 2007.
Dakota,
I
I'm sorry.
remember.
I'm probably going to be overwhelmed for a while.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, well, I'm your grandmother, so I'm going to be unrealistic. Do you remember anything about those days? Just in here, huh?
My first memory, I remember the old house, the one before here. There was like a treadmill in there. And
Yeah.
I think it was in a computer room or something. There was like a computer room and there was a treadmill.
But that's not where I spent all that time with you.
Right. That was
It was
later.
in Ashland.
Yeah.
It was called Commons East. You know
Okay.
where that is? If
trying
you
to think.
leave the main street where your mom lives,
Uh-huh.
and you go down, there used to be a Cleveland Avenue
Oh,
Market.
yep. It's right over there. Yep. That's what you'd said before.
Yep. That's where we spent our time.
And this is when I was like.
I'm going to try to calm down.
Born.
I'm going to try to calm down. I'm sorry, I don't want to make it uncomfortable.
You're fine.
I just love you.
Love you too.
I can't even believe I walked out here and there's the in my living room. My own grandson.
It's not that far of a drive. I was like looking up how to do it. My phone was dead, so I was trying to charge the phone in the car, and it was on 1 to 2%, and then I had to change the charger on it, and I was like, well, and then I looked back through the text, and I got the exact address. I knew it was Shaft Road, so that's what I put in first.
Well,
So-
it's only a mile long.
Yeah, so like about I don't know, partially way through, I went and actually typed in the actual address, and then once I came, it said I missed my turn. I didn't really miss a turn because that took me right up here, and it was trying to reroute me some way.
Oh,
And
so you were right there, then you had to go
Mhm.
someplace else?
it was trying to take me some way, and I came down this way, and then I noticed the house, and I came through. I'm like, this is the house right here. I remember. And then as soon as I came through, I'm like, yep, that looks familiar. It's been a long time, and that's the same place.
Dakota, you've never been here.
I've been here. I was here in 2007. I'm telling you, I was.
You were.
Yes. Because we tried going fishing, and we went to the races and whatnot, Dad and I. And then I think it was John's mom was here, and she was being a pain.
Oh, she didn't know how to be anything else.
It was summertime. That's the last time. I remember.
Oh, okay, I'm starting to remember.
I remember that part. I don't remember a lot before that. I couldn't tell you details.
We
but...
did go to the races.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we did.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't believe the way here. It was like highway, but then there was like nothing on the highway, and then you get here and it's all just country, like nothing else. I didn't know.
Isn't it nice though?
It's all right. Yeah, it's a nice drive. I just figured it'd be like I'd have to go through this town, and would have a bunch of stores and all this other stuff, and
No,
then connect here.
No.
Yeah,
this
it was
is like
yeah,
in the middle of nowhere. But it's a nice nowhere.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine.
It's only 3 minutes away from Shreve.
Okay.
So 3 minutes gets you to the grocery store and a restaurant and people. So it's not really isolated. But it's isolated enough so there's no noise.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need a lot of noise. No,
I get
you
my-
don't like noise.
I get my fair share.
You don't like noise. You never like noise.
Not I mean, I gotta have. I want it when I want it. I don't when I don't. And
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
No way around it.
Why does it seem to you and me that we understand every single solitary word we say?
I don't know.
Isn't that true though? It is. It is. If
I
you
saw
say
the-
something, I understand exactly what you said.
I went to the bathroom and I saw water, like milk jugs full of water. I'm like, oh no, it looks like home.
That's my grandmother.
Yeah.
I told you,
You
I
should-
saved all
You,
that.
you should see what's in my car. All the bottles of water and all that. It's just what I drink in the
Dakota,
car. I need to fill them
This
up.
world is not going to have
I
water.
know. That's what I keep telling people.
There's not
I don't-
going to have water.
I really don't throw anything I drink away. Like, I don't throw them away. Even at work, they'll give us, like, water bottles or whatever. I take them out to my car and I throw them out there. I'll fill them back up.
Well, I sort them a little bit.
I don't drink out of them or anything, though. It's just...
No, but I do sort them. I sort drinking water and toilet water and, you know.
I just kind of figured none of them are good. Like, I've used probably bleach bottles. I've used soap bottles. I used sauce bottles, water bottles, any type of drink, juice bottles, milk.
Never throw
Anything.
out water.
Nope. If I paid for this
Why
one,
are you and I the only two people that know that?
I try to talk to people all the time, and they all go, "Oh, that's pretty smart. Oh, that's pretty smart." I go, "Yeah."
Why don't they get it?
I'm like, I just do it. There's nothing more to talk about. Like, I'll show them, like, use
I
this
know,
one,
who
this
thinks
one, this
about
one,
it?
this one.
No, you just don't. You just
Yeah.
know when God gives you resources.
Those, like, paint, like, those pills and stuff, they come in, like,
What
a little...
is this?
That's, like, I don't know, like, the size of, like, the pill bottles or whatever that you get, like, pain pills and stuff, or whatever.
You don't
people-
put water in
Yeah.
bowls.
Yeah. I don't have any, but if I'm telling people, I'm like, you can use this one, you can use, like, this milk and pop and stuff. Like, a lot of people have, like, the soda cans or whatever. So, you know, they really don't hold water unless they have...
Would you look
You
at
know.
me? I want to make sure you're really here.
I'm here. It's just my thing. I don't know.
Dakota.
I have trouble looking at people. So.
I'm so overwhelmed.
I was petting your dog here. It yelped at me twice.
That Jake. What do you think about him? He's a piece of ass.
He was nice, but he would run
He
off.
is not nice.
My hand was down or something. And
Is that why he was barking?
he kind
That's
of
when you came, when he was barking.
he yelped.
This is the Rebel Call channel. Welcome to today's show. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about the red heifers over in Israel. This is a story I touched on back when it was first announced that these red heifers were transferring from Texas and going over to Israel. Well, now the story is picking up a lot more steam, and that's because we even have the altar assembled for the sacrificing of the red heifers. And I want to cover this story so people out there have an understanding of what needs to happen, what this means for all of us, what this means for humanity, of course, what this means for the Antichrist. So let's start with the overall understanding of the verse in the Bible that talks about the sacrificing of the red heifers. In the book of Numbers, chapter 19, verse 1 through 3. Now the Lord spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying, "This is the statute of the law that the Lord has commanded. Tell the people of Israel to bring you a red heifer without defect, in which there is no blemish, and on which a yoke has never come. And you shall give it to Eleazar the priest, and it shall be taken outside the camp and slaughtered before him." The sacrificing of the red heifer coincides with the building of the third temple, which coincides, of course, with the preparing of the Jewish Messiah. Now, this is where people need to understand, especially Christians. The Jewish Messiah is the Antichrist. It should be very simple for people to understand. Christians who are watching this stuff go down need to understand that the Messiah that the Jews are going to worship is the Antichrist. Our Messiah is the King of Kings, Jesus Christ. Theirs is a counterfeit Jesus. So no Christian should be supporting any of this stuff. But of course, they're having a tough time interpreting Israel, the land, versus Israel, the people. So what else is important to note with this story is twofold. Number one is that they've actually said that they found a priest or a Cohen who will be the one to sacrifice the actual red heifer. This is very, very important. Now, for those of you that don't know who Maimonides is a rabbi who was revered amongst the Jews, and he felt, and a lot of his teachings they still follow to this day, and a lot of his thinking they still follow to this day. And he believed, Rabbi Maimonides taught that the 10th red heifer would be sacrificed by the Messiah himself. That's interesting to note. Now, that doesn't mean that that's 100% truth, but this is taught amongst many of the Jewish people, that the priest who was to, or the Cohen who was to do the actual slaughtering of the red heifer would in fact be the Messiah himself. So in other words, we could view that as, well, the person who will be doing, the Cohen or the priest who will be doing the sacrifice could in fact be the Antichrist. Now, this is just theory according to Maimonides, but it's something that we all need to keep our eye on. And as I say that, now we can all look at this post from the Temple Institute. A Cohen fit to perform the red heifer ceremony. Now, of course, that doesn't look like what we'd all envision the Antichrist to look like. There's a lot of people who have a lot of theories that he's already here, who he can, in fact is, who he could potentially be. I totally understand that. I am not saying that this is the Antichrist. In fact, there couldn't maybe be a less intimidating Antichrist. I mean, I might be able to sneeze and knock this guy over, but this is the young Cohen in a photo visiting the red heifer candidates in Shiloh is fit to perform the red heifer ceremony. He came into the world via home birth, has never set foot in a hospital or cemetery, and therefore considered by Jewish law to be of the highest level of Torah purity, having never contracted tamat met, which means impurity imparted by contact with a corpse. Should he opt to participate in the Temple Institute's ongoing preparations in anticipation of the renewal of the ashes of the red heifer, he will undergo intense instruction and training. Now, we need to just keep an eye on these stories for lots of reasons, right? To keep our eyes on the signs of the times, but also do not forget that when we start hearing about a lot of this stuff in the mainstream, we need to be a little bit skeptical. Now, I understand that the sacrificing of the red heifer is probably going to be something in the coming of the Antichrist that cannot be hidden, because of course that has to do with the destruction of the Dome of the Rock, which is coming, and the building of the third temple. But we are seeing it talked about even on shows like Good Morning America and in the mainstream media, talking about the needing of the Dome of the Rock to be destroyed for the building of the third temple to occur. But here's a clip I'm going to play for you from CBS Saturday morning, where they actually talk about this, and you have to listen to it and see where they're kind of going with it, right? Where the guy's saying, is this all publicity stunt with the red heifer? And we need to keep that mindset as well as to whether or not they're gaslighting people. But eventually this is something that's going to happen. And if we see the destruction of the Dome of the Rock, that's my sign that says, okay, this is very, very near. This is about to go down. Because if the Dome of the Rock goes down, that's where they're building the third temple. So here's the clip that CBS aired a little while ago.
The cows he's talking about at a secure, undisclosed location are these red heifers, to be precise. Some Jews and Christians believe they're the key to rebuilding the historic Jewish temple in Jerusalem and to beckoning the Messiah. To understand, you have to go back nearly 2,000 years when the ancient Romans destroyed the last temple in the city. To rebuild it, these believers point to the Bible's book of Numbers. It commands the Israelites to sacrifice a red heifer without defect or blemish, and that has never been under a yoke. Only then can the temple rise again. Caring for them on an Israeli settlement in the West Bank is Yitzhak Mamo.
So we have here, after a long research, we find in Texas.
In Texas?
Yeah, Texas, United States of America.
Texas Red Angus, flying them 7,000 miles to Israel.
This is not a publicity stunt.
What do you mean?
Meaning, this is something you take very seriously.
Harry Potter is a good story. The Bible is not story. The Bible is a way of God to lead us.
A massive altar already awaits, where the heifers are to be burned.
According to some believers, the ceremony needs to be performed right here on the Mount of Olives, looking directly into where the temple once stood. But something else now stands in its place.
The Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque, among the holiest sites in Islam. Today, only Muslims are allowed inside, but that's not stopping Jewish activists outside.
Once you got, you started here.
6 days a week, Melissa Jane Kronfeld leads groups from around the world who defiantly pray, as close as armed guards permit.
It's not about the destruction of Islamic holy sites. It is about preserving this place and being guardians over the house of God for all people.
So you're happy with it where it is?
No, it's going to go 100%, but I believe
it's going to go.
It's 100%, yeah. The whole thing is going to go. We have to build a temple.
When you say that Dome of the Rock has to go, MJ, it's hard for me to imagine something more incendiary.
Well, let me ask you something. The Middle East seems pretty destabilized right now, and the war, if I'm not mistaken, is already here.
You gotta love the woman there. So yeah, it's gotta go, right? No, it's a non-issue. It's a non-thought. It's gotta go. Well, of course we know that it's eventually going because this is biblical. But saying it as if it's just nothing to blow up all the land over there and build the third temple. Now, again, they're talking about the story as far as, look, the altar is in place. They're finding the Cohen or the priest who's going to perform the actual sacrifice. And we need to keep an eye on the story as far as who this person specifically is. Is it going to be this person that they showed us, this little, this little 75-pound guy who supposedly will be the one chosen? And then we need to remember the story, at least the theory from Rabbi Maimonides, because he is somebody who is interwebbed in a lot of Jewish law and a lot of Jewish thinking and ideologies. And his belief, again, was that the Messiah himself would be the one who does the sacrificial offering. Others believe that the Messiah will come after the temple is built, but the Messiah is already here. But one thing is for certain. The conflict that's over there is leading up to the destruction of the Dome of the Rock. I covered this months ago when this whole thing started. I think it was the day that it was announced that there was the conflict going on over there. I had said to keep an eye on the Dome of the Rock. That would be the most important thing for us to watch, would be the Dome of the Rock, because again, then we would start seeing prophecy being fulfilled. Now, there are people out there that believe that they're deliberately doing this to try to recreate and fulfill prophecy. We'll see where this story actually goes, okay? But the fact that the altar is built, the fact that there is this conflict which gives reason to destroy the Dome of the Rock, which really, without the conflict, okay, without this whole thing starting the way that it started over there back in the fall, they wouldn't be able to have a reason to destroy the Dome of the Rock. They couldn't just go over there and blow it up, because then people would turn on the Jewish people immediately and say, look, they went over there, they blew that up without reason, they're starting conflict. Remember, they always have to be victims. Excuse me, I have to be careful what I say. Right? So they needed the conflict first to be able to do that. And everything else has been in place for a period of time, which shows you how this is all kind of being orchestrated, right? The heifers have been over there since before this latest conflict started back in the fall. The heifers have been waiting over there, actually, right? The altar itself being built simultaneously while the conflict is going on. And of course, now the announcing that they're searching for, and they may have found the person who can perform the ritual, who in fact could be Antichrist. And again, lots of Christians out there are not understanding that the Jewish Messiah is the Antichrist, the one that they're going to worship. I don't know what they think, right? Because we all know the Messiah is Jesus Christ, the King of Kings. He is the Messiah, the true Messiah. He was rejected by these certain group of people, right, that we're discussing here. Okay, he was rejected by the Jewish people. Those are those who claim to be but are not, but I'll say the Jewish people. Okay, he was rejected. So the Messiah that is to come is the counterfeit Messiah. It is not a real Messiah. It is a counterfeit, which thus is Antichrist. So lots of stuff to keep an eye on in regards to the red heifer. The altar itself being there, being prepared, being ready. So all that's left to be done is the destroying of the dome. Now, the other thing they've talked about, and again, this could coincide in different ways. They could do the sacrifice and then destroy the dome, probably within proximity of a very short time period, maybe within a calendar year. I don't know. But I believe that the dome has to go and the sacrifice has to be made. But it could happen in either order, I suppose, hypothetically, right? But they're talking about the actual sacrifice occurring during Passover, which would be later in April. There are people out there that believe they're actually going to do this during the solar eclipse, or in fact, that it's coming after the solar eclipse, after all these other things that I've been talking about in regards to the mass rituals that are going to be occurring, where we have NASA and CERN firing all sorts of things into thin air, supposedly, for fun, firing trillion-dollar rockets, trying to obviously open up a dimension and a portal here. So a lot of this stuff we have to keep our eye on, because spiritually, we know we're in a spiritual war. Now we need to keep an eye on the signs of the times. So just to recap, okay, the talking of the third temple is obviously something that we've all been discussing for quite a period of time. And the thing to note is that the altar is prepared, the heifers are there, the Cohen is supposedly chosen, but it does say, shall he accept, because he seems to be such a young person. And of course, we don't know if he's accepted it or not, but he's been taken to this secret location, which doesn't seem so secret, by the way. They're like, it's a secret location, yet it's on Good Morning America. Go figure, right? Wouldn't you think that this would be a target for Hummus the Food to go take out the red heifers so that they don't have their, I mean, I would think if I was them, that would probably be on my checklist of things to do, just kind of like the conflict in Ukraine with Russia. One of my, the first thing I do is be like, wait, this guy Zelensky is giving interviews for the Grammys, and he's doing interviews in 60 Minutes. So now we know his location. So maybe we should just go and take care of business. That would be my mindset. Same with the, this conflict, which is manufactured. I'd say, well, they've got the red heifers sitting there. They're gaslighting people on Good Morning America about it. Why don't we, if we're really in a conflict, and we're not just going after civilians and causing, and producing a war, like a production, why don't we go after the red heifers, right? Oh, because we can't find them. They're in a secret location, yet they're being put right on Good Morning America. And we could clearly see the guy, and we could see the location. They posted on their Facebook account, the Temple Institute, of the guy going and visiting. So you'd think they would go and target it. But of course, hey, who am I to say what would be common sense? You know what I mean? I mean, look, if I was leading an army, these are the things that I'd probably do, because the whole goal would be to win, But in this society, of course, winning is hateful, right? You don't want to win. You want to give everybody a participation award. So I guess even though they're doing this, that's that goes out of the reasoning of what's fair and what's not fair in warfare. So they probably are like, well, we want to be in conflict with Israel, but we won't go do anything to the red heifers. We'll go to the hospitals with this kid, but we won't go do anything to the red heifers, because, of course, we want, we don't, we want them to destroy the Dome of the Rock, apparently, right? So we'll see where all of this stuff leads. Lots of stories out there circulating about it. Keep an eye, by the way, on a lot of the alt-right